to
This
order.
conference will now be recorded.
I don't do that every month. Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I'm calling the meeting to order of the Montezuma Regional Planning Commission for Thursday, May 8th at 7 p.m. Kayla, can you do the roll call, please?
Amanda Reed.
Present.
Dean Valier. I don't think we heard you, Dean. I see his lips moving, but I did not hear him.
He is muted.
He's not muted. We just can't hear him. He is here.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you just have to raise your volume, Dean.
Give a thumbs up or something.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Thank
Doug
you.
Thornton.
Here.
Guy Corbacero.
Okay.
Guy Corbacero.
Yeah, his hand's up. He's muted.
I'm here.
Okay. Christopher Monroe.
Monroe here.
Kyle Nardowitz.
Here.
Laura Schifrin.
Here.
Mary Jo Bohart.
Here.
Peter Cunningham.
Cunningham here.
That's everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. This meeting will be recorded to ensure we have an accurate record of our discussion. If anyone has any concerns about being recorded, let us know. Seeing none.
Madam
is-
Chair, I'd just like to note that Alan Pease just joined.
Thank you. If everybody could mute themselves unless you're speaking, that would be helpful for background noise, and in particular for the recording and the minutes. Thank you. This meeting is held under an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed by Governor Healy on March 28, 2025, allowing local and regional governments to hold public meetings remotely or in hybrid fashion through June 30th of 2027. All votes will be taken by roll call, and of course you say your name and how you're voting when we do that. So going on to 2 MRPC minutes of April 3rd, 2025 have been sent to you. Is there a motion? If someone will make a motion, please unmute.
I offer a motion we accept the minutes from our meeting of April. Yeah. Hang on a second.
Peter,
Second.
April 3rd, 2025.
okay, so that was Peter, and I think Guy just seconded. Did I hear
Yes,
that?
I did.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing and hearing none. Kayla, could you take a roll call vote, please? And the
Yep,
motion.
Alan Pease.
Aye.
Amanda Reed.
Aye.
Dean Valier. Aye with a thumbs up. Doug Thornton.
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson.
Jeff Tillotson abstain.
Guy Corbacero.
Aye.
Christopher Monroe.
Monroe, aye.
Kyle Nardowitz.
Aye.
Laura Schifrin.
Or Schifrin, aye.
Mary Jo Bohart.
Mary Jo Bohart abstain.
Peter Cunningham.
Cunningham, aye.
Rebecca Bielecki.
Abstain.
Okay, that's the vote. Thank you all very much. It passes. And next is the cash schedule. Is Robert?
I'll take it.
Oh, okay. Go for it. Thank you.
Hi. So the opening balances for March 31st, 2025 were $672,421.54. Total receipts for the period, including transfers, were $182,065.58. Total cash on hand before this warrant, $854,487.12. Amount of this warrant, $315,164.15. Balance after this warrant, $539,322.97. And on deposit as of April 30th, 2025, $539,322.97. And that's it.
Rebecca Bielecki, move to accept.
Thank you.
Guy Carvassaro, second, subject to audit.
Okay, any further discussion? Additions, questions, questions? None? Kayla, can you take the roll call, please vote?
Alan Pease,
Aye. Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Dean Valier, thumbs up. Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Carvassaro, aye.
Christopher Monroe,
Monroe, aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Laura Schifrin,
Laura Schifrin, aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Mary Jo Bohart, aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Cunningham, aye.
Rebecca Bielecki.
Bielecki, aye.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Kayla. Next is guest announcements and questions. Do we have any guests on tonight? I don't see any.
Not that I see.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a good place to do it or not. I just would like to provide an update on the siting of the UMass emergency facility. I don't know if we do it now or later. What's your pleasure, Madam Chair?
Well, it's an announcement, I think.
Okay. So there was a public information session held by the UMass last evening in Groton on the facility, and this is there's a DPH process they need to go through if they're setting a facility in the community. So they came out and they conducted a facility. They had the leader of their team there, along with some of the doctors that are going to be involved in the process, and it's very encouraging. They're making a significant investment in providing a standalone emergency care facility in this area to address obviously the closure of Neshoba Valley Medical Center. So it was a good hearing, some good information provided, and we'll be going through the local planning process within the town of Groton, and then hopefully once that's approved, start construction. And their plan is to have it open by the November of 26. So they're on a pretty aggressive timeline. So it was good to hear that they're very focused on this, I guess. That's all.
Thank you, Peter. That's very important for this area, for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that's moving along. That's great. Under 5, administrative matters, Glenn? Or
I'm going to defer 5.1 to Holly and I think Peter.
Yes, I think Peter was doing that.
Yes, guilty as charged. So the nominating committee met earlier this evening. It's 6:15, and we reviewed and discussed the slate of officers for FY 2026, and we're proposing the following for the officers for the MRPC. So we have Chair of Christopher Monroe, Vice Chair Guy Carvassaro, Treasurer Robert Swartz, Vice Treasurer Doug Thornton, Secretary Kyle Nardowitz, At-large member Mary Jo Boebert, and also at-large member Peter Cunningham.
Thank you, Peter, for the report of the nominating committee. And I want to thank all of those who volunteered for those positions. I think we're lucky to have all of you. You've all been very participatory. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Your vote of the commission will be at the June meeting for the following year. Any other questions or comments? Hearing, seeing none. Okay. Thank you again. 5.2 draft of the fiscal year 26, fiscal year 27 budgets, information only. Glenn, is that you?
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. 5.2 through 5.7 will be me very, very quickly. Everything is information only tonight. Not looking for any votes unless you want to address the July meeting, but we'll get to that later. Been giving you updates since February every month about, we're trying to dial in as best we can for the FY26 budget. For the first table, FY26, the 12.3% deficit is comparable to what we had about a month ago. I asked Mac to take out the district local technical assistance revenue for the upcoming federal fiscal year. Long story short, the district local technical assistance funding for the upcoming fiscal year, which would be program year 19, meaning we're in the 18th year of its funding now, 19th year would be FY26, is it's just up in the air. We just won't know until August when the state passes the budget whether DLT will be in there. I won't bore you with all the particulars. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. For FY27, because I want to be planning ahead earlier than later. I don't want to wait till next January, or this coming January, to start planning the FY27 budget. So for the 27 budget, it shows about a 27.1% deficit. That means the DLTA is not in there, no EDA or Economic Development Administration, no Environmental Protection Agency funds. And I will close by saying if you start the fiscal year in a 20% deficit with aggressive grant writing, you can get through the year. So 12.3% projected deficit in May. I raise an eyebrow, but I don't get nervous. My blood pressure doesn't go up until it's the June 5th meeting, and I like to see that 12.3% down in the single digits, a lot closer to zero. That's basically the summary of the budgets for 26 and 27 as of this evening. Thank you.
Questions from the board? Comments? Hearing none. Glenn, would you continue, please?
Happy to continue on to 5.3, and I can do 5.3 and 5.4 together if that's okay with everybody. They're both about policies that we'll bring before you for the June 5th meeting. First one, artificial intelligence policy. Late this afternoon, I sent an AI policy, a couple of them, to our attorney legal counsel for his review. Also sent a little longer story. Back in 2019, staff, we presented a lending policy to lend out. You'll notice in the cash schedule is about $364,000 balance in the program income account for the US EPA revolving loan fund. So the bottom line is when COVID hit, staff turnovers hit, I threw this policy, on the back burner. It wasn't even on the back burner; it was in the freezer below in the fridge. Resurrected the issue. So both this policy and the AI policies are under legal review now. I've asked David Bedanza to review. We'll probably talk about them next week and get a review done before the June 5th meeting, so we can bring these back in to the commission. I would close by saying on 5.4, the RLF policy. Some of you weren't around in 19, some of you were. So the commissioners saw several iterations, 2 or 3, of the lending policy, provided input edits. Barbara Yoakum did a lot of work on that, and I basically sent a tracked changes document of the commissioners' S' edits and Barbara's edits in one document over to Attorney Bedanza. And so we have a pretty good document, but it's obviously got to go under legal review before we then say, okay, it's okay as of June 5th if you approve it, and then I can create a brochure in the summer and then get it out to the public and private sectors. And how you market a program like that is you give it to the bankers, you give it to the lawyers, you give it to the accountants. They're the ones that talk to their clients who are looking to do borrowing to clean up, assess and clean up sites. Public and private sector borrowers from the public and private sector are both eligible. And that's all I really have on those policies. So you'll see these for action June 5th if Attorney Bedanza, the Lord willing, the creek don't rise, he can finish his reviews in May. And that's it on those two.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none. Okay, so now we're at 5.5. Is that you, Glenn?
So, yeah, very, very quickly. There are several handouts in the handouts folder for the evening's meeting that I would say please download them if you want to read those. The highlights of those three are in three bullets in the middle. We received an email from Federal DOT Secretary about a week ago, I guess Monday, April 28th. So, and he basically said, follow the law. And well, we already do anyway. The real intent of these memos is the federal government's not interested in DEI anymore, and we are interested in removing illegal aliens. So, we're not going to fund host cities of illegal immigrants. And so if you do that, you're not going to get your federal DOT money. That's the gist of the memos. I won't bore you with the other details, but those are the highlights, lowlights, or middle lights. If you want to read them, please feel free to look at the handouts. I will close by saying MRPC always follows the law, and that's all I'll say. That's it on 5.5.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah. Not question, I suppose, but some of this is and I agree, Glenn. I think we always have to follow the law. I think some of this relates more to, policy or the way the political winds are blowing than anything else. But that is what it is. So.
Okay.
You're right, Peter. Whole lot more to say, but not here.
Yeah, exactly. I won't get into it.
I think we all get the gist.
Yeah.
So,
Mary
5.5.
Bohart has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Mary Jo?
Yes, and the question would be for Glenn. I only quickly looked at the materials that he had provided, but is the phrase environmental justice or environmental justice communities, has that become something that is being stricken by the federal government from programs as well?
Yes.
Okay.
The EPA's Environmental Justice Thriving Communities grant program was canceled officially within the last week. It was canceled through the grapevine about a month ago. So if it's DEI, if it's EJ, if it's people of color, if it's DEI, those are things this federal administration is addressing, shall we say.
Okay.
Targeting.
All right, moving on. 5.5.
So the 5.5 was the federal DOT. 5.6, let's see, July commission meeting to be held on. So we would hold the July meeting on the first Thursday, which would fall on the 3rd. We would always respectfully request that, gosh, let's not hold it near the 4th, because we do have a problem in the past with attendance, commissioners or staff. It's like, people deserve a break. They typically take some time off. We typically may or may not have a quorum or attain a quorum, I should say. I'm going to ask the pleasure of the board by June 5th if you would take an official action, whether you're going to meet on the 3rd or 10th or not at all. And in the middle of that paragraph, it says, do you want to do that or skip the July meeting entirely? You can take action tonight, folks. You can wait until June, but I just thought I didn't want to hit you in June with this. I thought we would try to at least discuss the issue a month in advance. I'm trying to be more proactive, if you will. Thank you. And that's about it. Thank you for your time on that one.
Okay. Anything from the board regarding the July meeting?
Yeah, I would offer, Madam Chair, I think, again, July, and particularly July 3rd meeting, where it's very close to the July 4th holiday, I think it would make sense to take a break for the month of July. So that would be my 2 cents on this.
Tillotson here. If Mr. Cunningham is making a motion to not meet in July, I would second that motion. Otherwise, I'll make the motion.
Okay. So,
Well,
Chris, You can
I was
second.
offering it was more of a notion, but if you want to make a motion, that's I'm fine with that.
Okay, so your notion is now a motion.
Correct.
Tillotson will
Okay.
second his motion.
Okay. Is there
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any any discussion in reference to the motion to skip July meeting? I don't see any discussion. Kayla, would you take the vote?
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Dean Valier, Doug Thornton,
Thornton, aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Corbacero, aye.
Christopher Monroe,
Monroe, aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Hardowitz, aye.
Laura Schifrin,
Laura Schifrin, aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Mary Jo Bohart, aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Cunningham, aye.
Rebecca Bielecki.
Bielecki, aye.
That's it. Thank you all. That passes. No meeting in July. 5.7 other administrative matters.
Very quickly, the next federal funding lunch and learn, we'll hold that at noon on May 20th. So we will A, send out an email, and B, there'll be a posting on the MRPC website. That's 5.7.1. 5.7.2 is, you have heard me say several times, or in ad nauseum, I apologize that I'll be leaving. This might be the first or second time I've actually put it in writing between those two dates. I just want to let you know that thanks, Holly, and others, but Holly a few months ago said, hey, when you start writing stuff down, whether you have internal or external candidates, that's somewhat aside from, write stuff down before you leave, so we have transition documents. And I started writing many things down, from this is the stuff you won't find in a job description, to really be careful about, make sure your financial checks and balances are in place. And by the way, that door on the south side of the building sticks and it's always open. And look, if because we've cut back on the janitor custodian every 2 weeks, stick your size 14 in the barrel in the bathrooms and push down the paper towel. So I'm trying to write down everything I can think of over the next 12 months. And somebody giggled, but that's the kind of thing, I'm trying to write down the things that people don't really think about, as well as kind of the more obvious stuff. But everybody says when someone leaves an organization, you wish they had asked questions or written something. So I'm really trying to do that and be proactive about that. So anyway, just so you know, we're planning way in advance, as much as humanly possible, for transition of the executive director to a new party. And last thing I'd say on that is that Holly signed up and took a course on transition from our HR consultant, and we got a booklet on the past. So we're really trying to be proactive about the issue. So that's just an FYI. Thanks. That ends the admin stuff.
Okay.
And the rest is other departments. Thanks for your time, folks.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. And always for your efforts. I don't remember the transition. So could you explain to the commissioners who does the hiring of the next administrator?
So, well, I can give you a little bit of piece of history. I mean, the bottom line is the commissioners hire the executive director. Okay. The process back in let's see, 03, Mokan retired, and the commissioners basically used its executive committee. First of all, we didn't have an internal hiring policy or an internal promotion policy. So the attorney at the time, Mark Goldstein, recommended that the commissioners adopt a policy, and they did this in 07, and then interviewed Lila Michaud in the summer or fall and hired her in I think it was the spring, because Mo retired in February 13th of 03, give or take a day. And basically the commissioners used the same process. So there was an internal posting in 07 when Lila said, I'm retiring. There were a couple of candidates. One of them got the job, but the executive committee did the interview of the candidates in 07. The executive committee then reported out to the full commission its recommendations to the commission, and the commissioners took a vote basically it was a vote of the committee, went to the vote, and then when the vote went to the full commission, and then the commissioners voted. So you are the hiring, you are the hirers, if you
Okay,
will.
so I just wanted everybody to know the process because I don't remember it, from before. And Peter has his hand up, and I will recognize you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I think, so I guess the question is, do we need to form or create I don't know, a screening committee or a nominating committee to then bring back the nomination of a director to the entire board at some point?
I think that Glenn said it was the executive committee of the commissioners.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, and then I
Yeah,
think
you have an executive committee that does a lot of work. So, I mean, that's a great committee.
Yeah.
It's up to the commissioners if it wants to have a separate committee for this, but this is a commission that doesn't have a lot of subcommittees. Other commissions and COGs do have a lot of different committees. Your executive committee by default does a lot of this work when it happens, and a lot of this work, 03, 07, and then whenever I figure out when I'm going to retire in 26 or 27. And because you will have work, I mean, I'm going to give you a 6-month notice. If it's June 30, 26, I'll let you know December 31, 25. If it's June, I mean, right now, I really want to get through the midterms. So I could be looking at like December 31, 26, but I would tell you July 1st, 26. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to bag you. I'm not going to sandbag you. You'll have plenty of time to do some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. Yeah, that answers my question. I think that the executive committee would then bring a nominee forward to the full committee at some point.
Full commissioners.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Glenn, for that, and Peter for the question. Anybody else have questions for Glenn? Okay, then. Department heads. What have I got? What am I seeing? Who's up first?
I am. I'm filling in for Jason tonight. There's no big GIS news, but in the IT world, our previous VPN, I guess, terminated its lifespan, so we had to install a new VPN on all the machines.
What is that?
That's like how we kind of connect to our network securely.
Okay. It was an acronym, and I don't know exactly what it stands
Yeah.
for. Okay. Maybe somebody else either.
And so we just have to work with everyone to get that installed on the machine.
Okay. Karen, planning and development.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me okay? All right. Green Communities, we had applied in the spring for Fitchburg, Athol, and Lunenburg, and they were just awarded their grants in the total amount of $485,573. And this spring, so last month, we applied for Townsend and Royalston, and we'll hear about those in the fall. MBTA communities, most recently, Groton and Ashby passed at town meeting. Shirley just received their letter of compliance from the EOHLC, and we are working with them to apply for MBTA Catalyst funding to do some potential road work and intersection work near the MBTA district. Digital equity plans, we've completed all 9 plans for the 9 communities we were working with, and now we're moving into the implementation phase, which will help the communities submit an application to get their funding to do some of the tasks like digital literacy or buying devices or what have you. We also submitted a couple of proposals to the Launchpad program. One is to work with our rural communities to try and get web mesh networks on their commons. So we're hoping to get an invitation to apply. We had to put in a proposal. And the other one is to run a digital literacy program using potentially MassHire or some other consultants. So we hope to be invited to apply for a full application on those. We recently got an email from the Economic Development Administration regarding our comprehensive economic development strategy, which we just finished in November and submitted for approval. They sent an email saying you need to go through and take out any DEI or climate references. So we've been working in the department to choose other words. So we will do that and resubmit it. And right now we're working with CMRPC on a farmland funding program application to assist our farmers in the whole Worcester region. That's due May 19th. That's all I have. Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have two hands up. Mary Jo, I'll address you first.
Sure. Super quickly for Karen. Is the word resiliency as touchy as some of the other words? So is that another word that gets purged, the word resiliency?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it refers to climate. Once we have our final list of words, I don't know if we'll share that or just, I don't know. I'm hoping to keep the one that we have on our website and send the corrected one to the EDA. I don't know, Glenn and I need to talk further about it, but that's my
I could jump in, Karen, if it's okay.
Thank you.
I want to augment what you're saying. It's no problem. Karen, you're saying everything correctly. I mean, the word resiliency as a standalone word is okay. We can't put the words climate change resiliency in the same phrase. We can use the words weather pattern change. We can't use the word climate change. We can use space weather, talking about the plasma rejections of the sun affecting our magnetic field. And I feel like sometimes a stand-up comedian. I can't make this stuff up. It's just too stupid. But these are the kinds of changes that will happen. I have informed Karen and Tracy. Karen, you're absolutely right. We're going to have two sets. We're going to have one that complies with the federal documents, the federal requirements, and we'll have another one because the state believes in DEI, the state believes in EJ, the state believes in climate change, and so do most of your planners. So we'll have a SEDS for the state and a SEDS for the feds. We have to walk a real tough tightrope, and I'll credit Grace Belmont in Brian's department when she said hey, I recommend we use this terminology over here in this transportation plan, because if we don't use the new language, then these communities won't be eligible for federal funding down the road. So very few planners at the organization like what we have to do, but we're in the SEDS case, we're going to have two SEDS. We'll have, one transportation improvements plan, program, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying we have to, this is a crazy time, folks, but we're just trying to make sure that we, A, can deliver the appropriate services, B, get the funding, and C, not bite the hand that feeds us. But thanks for letting me augment, Karen.
Can I just add something, Madam Chair?
Yes, Karen.
To that?
I have another. I see it. Okay, go ahead.
Karen. Now I've forgotten. Go on.
Okay. Brian, you're patiently waiting. Brian Doherty.
Hi, thanks. And to Mary Jo's question, and there's really no answers, but on the transportation side, we've been working on a few federal required documents, and we've gotten some limited guidance from Federal Highway and Federal Transit. Nobody wants to come out and explicitly say not to say something or to tell us to change something. But what we've done and other MPOs have done throughout the state is basically replace climate change references with resiliency references. So we used to have what we call the climate change report. We looked at transportation infrastructure and basically the effects of flooding is what it really amounts to in our region. That's now the
infrastructure resiliency report. It's not the climate change report. So there's been a number of minor changes. And again, we haven't explicitly gotten any direction per se from anyone at FTA or Federal Highway Region 1 or anything like that. But a little bit of that is flying blind, but that's basically how we're handling it. It could be totally different 6 months from now, and maybe when some of these documents get federal review and we get some comments back, we might have further changes. But I think nobody has any clear answers as to that right now. But we do still use resiliency. It's listed. It'll be listed in our Unified Planning Work Program. It's in our Transportation Improvement Program. It's kind of baked into a lot of the things that we do already, which, by the way, were kind of originated from FTA and Federal Highway guidelines in years past. So I think it's kind of a moving target right now.
Okay. Well, actually, it's a really good word, and I'm sure we all like to be resilient ourselves. Peter, you have your hand up again.
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry to be a pest, but I think the other thing that's interesting, we just dealt with it at a town meeting. FEMA has released a new series of, I guess, flood maps, which are going to affect zoning and a bunch of other things. That certainly speaks, I think, to resiliency and how communities are going to respond to that. It's going to have a huge impact. So
Yes, and Townsend just passed the new guidelines and the new maps at their meeting. We did get that thing done. Maybe not everything else, but we did get that done. Karen, did you have something else to say?
Yes, I remembered. So the Economic Development Administration, we had 2 grants from them. Our annual planning grant, which is a 3-year contract, just ended, and there's no invitation for a next one yet. So that funding, which is $70,000 a year, is not available now. And we just finished our filter project, and so we don't know if there's going to be more funding coming, or even if the EDA still exists. Okay. So that's monies that we have to find somewhere else. So,
Karen, you've been very good at that, and I wanted to mention this before.
Too good.
So you've been very good at that, right? And I think all the towns appreciate everything that you've done for MRPC and all the monies that you have brought in. You are worth your weight in gold. And I've told this to other people, and I will say it all day long. You've done.
I will take that weight in gold.
I don't have it myself, but
well, you just promised it. You said I was.
I said you were worth it. I just had the money to pick it up.
Thank you, Laura, but I am imperfect and I do make mistakes.
All of us are.
But thank you.
We do the best we can. Thank you. What's next? Transit and transportation. Brian, was that what you just talked about?
Yeah, just one quick thing, and I'm sure you all saw the email, I think 2 weeks ago, sent out. The MPO released the Transportation Improvement Program for federal fiscal years 26 through 30. It's a listing of all federal investments in the transportation network in the region. So that's kind of what we've been working on. It's under a 21-day review and public comment period. Typically, the feds, Federal Highway, and FTA provide some sort of a comment. But we haven't heard from them yet. Comment period closes next Friday, the 16th. We'll come back at the May 21st meeting of the MPO and vote to endorse that document. So, and we'll share any information with anyone if we get any relevant comments, especially for the from the federal side. That's really it. Any comments can be made to myself, and the document itself can be found on our website as well.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions for Brian? I don't see any hands up. So, new business. Open session this time is reserved for topics that were not reasonably anticipated. Is there anything that anyone would like to bring up? No hands.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may.
Peter, yes.
Yeah, this is for Glenn, I guess. Is there any update on the status of the various federal grant programs that are that we partake of?
I don't think you want to know the answer, Peter, but to be objective, I think
I have to
on,
ask. I
I
know
have on, I
the
have,
EPA stuff is, I think, all right, but I did just some of the other things.
oh, well, let me be more specific and be less flippant. I'm sorry, folks. To the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Environmental Site Assessment Program that we already have awarded to us, and we've been doing some ESA work, more recently for Groton and Leominster. It has been the counsel of an unnamed DEP official to say go slowly, and don't take on too many projects at once. So when we finish the Groton report, when we finish the Leominster report, we'll take on one more. I think Hubbardston has been lining up, so we'll have a brownfields group meeting soon. It's Karen, can I pick your brain? Another 2 or 3 years left on that one, maybe 2 to 2.5. I'm sorry, on the EPA grant, and so we will plot along, one project at a time, one drawdown, or one invoice at a time. In general, Peter, it's about every week to 10 days we find out about another Okay, Karen, demuted. Go ahead, Karen. What about that time frame, please?
September 2027.
Thank you. 9/30/27. So we have a little over 2 years to finish the EPA and ESA grant. The FEMA BRIC program that funds culverts in towns, that's been eliminated. I mentioned EJ, Thriving Communities under EPA, has been eliminated. Again, folks, objectively, this is not new to me. Republican administrations go after certain programs. Democratic-led administrations go after certain programs. There's a little more programming and laws that are going after, like DEI and EJ and stuff like that. But the Republicans typically always go after EPA. They typically always go after EDA, even though EDA is about jobs. They have a problem with the Department of Commerce. But nothing substantial that we haven't reported anything. We've been reporting on everything that we know of that affects our agency and affects our communities. And I can't speak for tomorrow, or I can't speak for 2 a.m. this morning when something else gets tweeted. So we're just trying to track it every day and going executive order by executive order. I hope that helps. I would close by saying the word uncertainty is used a great deal concerning economics, tariffs, policy, what's the next program, and because we never know what's next, we know what we know now. We don't know what we hope. We just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Glenn.
Okay. Thank you, Peter and Glenn. And I'm just going to tell you that everything is one day at a time and one step at a time, and that's all we can do. So be thankful for what we have today. Any other comments in the opening discussion? I don't see any, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And if no one objects, we can be adjourned at 7:43 p.m.
So moved, Guy Corbacero.
There's a second?
Second.
Everyone
Aye.
just say aye. No roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thanks, Laura.
Great job. Bye-bye.